Good morning and welcome to Take Your Life Back Today show with me, Ralf Friedrichs. Today's topic is, and this is related to a personal experience my wife and I went through yesterday when we were trying to go camping for a week. And it was our first day. It was our first hour at the campsite. I'll go into details in a minute, but first I want to give a shout out to Larry Geis from the Geis Academy at 516-485-2741. 516-485-2741. Larry Geis is an addiction recovery coach. He is a life coach. He is like a life preserver for the people that need help with life and addictions. Give him a call at 516-485-2741. Google him at www.odysseyconsultant.org. When you speak to him, make sure when you call him that you tell him that you heard about him on the Take Your Life Back Today show with me, Ralf Friedrichs. That's Larry Geis from the Geis Academy. Let Larry Geis help take your life back. GlobalEyeglasses.com, where they are focused on saving you money. Folks, they have over 1,200 frames. They have lenses galore, progressives, line bifocals, transitions and photochromatics, UV coated, anti-reflecting coating, thin lenses, shatterproof lenses. These are all available. Oh, I forget to mention polarized lenses for those sunglasses, tinted lenses for those sunglasses, mirror coated lenses for your sunglasses. All available at globaleyeglasses.com. You need to go to www.globaleyeglasses.com. You need to also rely on me with over 30 years experience in the optometry field. Text me at 631-599-0218 or call me at 844-405-HELP. I will help place your order. I will help pick your frame and pick the proper lenses according to your needs and your prescription. Text me 631-599-0218. Folks, yesterday was supposed to be my wife and I's first day of a whole week camping. I want to give you a chronological order of what happened exactly because it's interesting. It's so interesting to see how I probably looked years ago compared to the folks that we ran into yesterday. This all happened at Smith's Point Beach down in Shirley, Long Island, New York, and it happened yesterday around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is check-in time for people checking in to set up their campsite. My wife and I, we checked in. We drive as we approach our two lots that we rented, Lot 127 and Lot 128. Mind you, there are people, 1, 2, 3 families together at 129, 30, and 31. We approach and our lot 128 was filled with cars. So of course my first thing was, geez, we just rented these two lots and I have other people parking on our lot. I see a tent that's set up right in front of the fire pit that's close to our lot, and I'm baffled on what to do. So I do what most people would do, and I approach the first person down in that campsite. It was a gentleman, which you'll see a pattern with this gentleman as we talk. I approached and I said, listen, could you do me a favor? We're checking in today, and these two lots belong to us, and we need to set up, and we have other people coming with their cars. Could you just please move your cars? This particular gentleman had the nerve, without even any thing for me to provoke him, said to me, okay, but what are you going to do about it? I should have known right there and then that things weren't going to go too well. And my response to him in a calm manner was, what I'm going to do about it is ask you to please move your car. Well, they moved 2 cars, left 1 there. So we proceeded to set up our campsite. And I noticed that, like I stated in the beginning, that one tent was right in front of the fire pit. So once again, I approached him and I said, listen, we can't have that tent right there. He goes into this whole belligerent thing with his wife about how the borderlines this and that and that. And I said, okay, maybe we should get somebody down here to explain the rules and regulations. Now, mind you, I survey their campsites and I see gigantic coolers. I smell the alcohol on this particular person's breath. Big guy, big arms. And I knew right there and then that things might get out of hand, so I left it alone. As my wife and I are setting up our campsite, I see a security guard driving down the road. He stops at our neighbor, the neighbor in question, and approaches him about certain situations. Now, coincidentally, this might look like to you like we made the phone call, but I assure you I had nothing to do with calling security or what followed after. Security guard and him had many words, including some profanity, and to find out that this security guard, amongst other security guards, had prior problems in the morning with the same people. The security guard decides to call the park rangers, so the park rangers show up down there. And we go through this whole thing with the park rangers of what exactly happened. Mind you, we did not call security, nor did we call the park rangers. But what the park rangers did was speak to them, speak to us, took my license, took his license, and after, it must have been close to an hour, the park rangers walked this gentleman over to apologize to my wife and I, and which he did. But he did it in such a way that was obnoxious, that provoked other people from even getting involved again. And this is exactly what alcohol and drugs will do. What we're going to discuss here are types of drunk people you should always avoid. So after about an hour, at this point the police, the park ranger asked my wife about staying. Maybe we can find a different lot, which we were open-minded to, maybe finding a different space. Unfortunately for us, we shouldn't have to do that, but we said, okay, we'll do that. They didn't have another spot. I was asked up there if I want to sign a complaint, they'll kick these people off, and I wouldn't do that. What we decided to do is to give up our 2 lots. At this point, the staff at Smith's Point Beach makes a phone call to the home office. To make a long story short, we ended up with a credit for both lots. But the point here is, I could have very easily had these 3 families removed and I could have kept going with my campsite. However, I would never do that. I understand. I don't condone, but I understand what's going on there because I've been there. Here is the thing, folks. I, in good conscience, felt so uncomfortable with my wife being next to them that even with the apology, and maybe even 10 more apologies, I could not, in good conscience, stay at that campsite. Because every time my wife and I and the grandkids and my children would leave, we would have to worry about what is going on. My wife overheard one of the ladies say, well, we can always start our fire pit, and if their tent goes on fire, oh well, we're not responsible. These are indirect threats. These are indirect physical threats with going over there and saying, what are you going to do about it? Or verbal threats, I should say. These are the things that I, as the sober person, my wife as the sober person, will purposely avoid. And these are the type of things that people that are drunk and under drugs will do to provoke and bully and do things as such. I want to give a shout out to the Suffolk County Park Rangers for mediating this in a calm manner. I want to give a shout out to Smith's Point Beach for also helping us on getting a credit towards both our lots. But I want to give a shout out mostly to my wife and I, because we were the better people by walking away. And I am so proud of myself in the sober life that I lead for not escalating this into something further. Folks, it is better to walk away than to challenge, because I would have been outnumbered. I wasn't under the influence like they were, so they probably would have done anything to defeat me. But yet, my vacation was cut short by a whole week. We had vacation at the campsite for 1 hour before it came to an end. However, what we do have is, I continuously have my sober life, I continuously have my dignity, and I still have my wife. And we will make a different vacation. We will do different things with our grandchildren. But what we will not do is stay next to drunk and drug people that will do this 24/7 and possibly physically or materialistically hurt us. Types of drunk people you should always avoid. The problem with getting drunk is that unless you are the kind of person who only drinks in the comfort of their own home, in which case you may or may not seek professional help, you will always find yourself surrounded by drunk people, as my wife and I did at Smith's Point Beach yesterday. And drunk people are the worst. While some people can successfully characterize themselves as good drunks, and they don't get people upset around them, there are some people like these people, these three families in these three sites yesterday, will do to ruin our vacation, which they did not succeed, because my wife and I will or amend our vacation to do something. These are all different types of drunk people. You have the crying drunk people that you might run into in life. There's no swifter way to end your night out than lumbering yourself with a crying drunk. Not only is the reasoning behind their woes completely incomprehensible, due to them having consumed so much alcohol that they've lost the ability for their cohesive sentences, but remaining by their side means that you're destined to conclude your evening in the back of a cab with them, trying to make sense of their emotional turmoil. You have the aggressive drunk. Hence, yesterday, with those three families at three of those sites at Smith's Point Beach, Suffolk County, New York. When a taste of alcohol hits the lips of an aggressive drunk, they will launch into a frenzy of misplaced rage spawned from underlying self-esteem issues. Replace that alcohol with cocaine and expect the aggressive drunk to turn into angry Superman, armed with the strength and resiliency of 10 men. Unfortunately, each of those 10 men are also incredibly stupid. You have the handsy drunk. No one takes umbrage with the loving camaraderie displayed by the collection of drunks, but when a handsy drunk appears, that is replaced by uncomfortable groping and neon molestation. A few drunken embraces are a part of the course, but the handsy drunk's inability to keep their hands by their sides makes you consider ending your night by filing possibly a restraining order. You have the BS drunk. The BS drunk has a habit of forming taller and taller tales with each unit of booze they consume. It's almost unfathomable to think that they are under the impression that you believe the tribe they're spouting, but that's just the life of a BS drunk. You have the miserable drunk. The black cloud hanging over an otherwise fun night out, the miserable drunk wants to bring everyone down with them. It's a wonder why they still attend these sorts of occasions, considering the only thing they bring is in the air of hopelessness. They are they are a headache before you've even had a chance to be a hangover. Then you have the cheap drunk. No one likes someone who won't put a hand in their pocket every once in a while, especially when you've brought them a drink here and there. Avoid the cheap drunk like a cheap drunk. Avoid spending money. Again, this is from yesterday, the loud drunk. In the case, think of a loud drunk as an obnoxious, unrespected person, because the loud drunk will go out of their way to ensure that you're as annoyed by their presence as humanly possible. And I truly believe that's what this person was trying to do. Yet I truly believe that he was focused on removing us, because he even offered to purchase our lot. He even offered to pay for any other lot that we would go to. That's how much that he wanted to take over that lot. You have the people that are called they really shouldn't be drunk. The really shouldn't be drunk hasn't consumed that much alcohol, yet it looks like they are ready for an early night. Spending too much time within the vicinity of them will wind up with you having to clean vomit off your clothes the next day, and will likely lead you to ending your evening by attempting to drag them out of wherever you might be, or even if you're in your home, out of your home. It is summertime, which means that everyone will be spending a lot of time in the sunshine, warm breezes, and general good mood with other people at parties or possibly like us at the campsite. Yes, I'm aware using the word shindig makes me sound like I'm in a Joss welding TV show or in the early 60s. The point is that when the weather is nice and the music's playing and the booze is flowing, it's pretty darn easy to get drunk quickly or to be around people that already have become drunk already. And again, this was 2 o'clock yesterday and these folks were drunk. It's also much easier to find yourself rubbing shoulders with some people whose character is a bit crappy when they're partaking in alcohol. And again, yesterday's perfect example. I've come up with 7 more items on my list of different types of drunks. You have the happy drunk. The best kind of drunk is a happy drunk. They're happy, they're joyous, they're the life of the party. The only reason to hate getting stuck with them is to avoid these drunks like the plague if you're sober, or at least if you maybe a sociable drinker. What you want to do is you want to laugh with them and you want to be happy with them, but they are so happy because they're so consumed in their drugs and alcohol that the minute you don't laugh about something, they might get annoyed by that. You have the sad drunk. Alcohol can do funny things to people. One of the most common is to make them sad, bringing about type 2, the sad drunk, which is never fun for either the sober person or the drunk person who is sad. We've all seen someone like that at a party. Maybe they have just been dumped. Maybe they've had a crappy day. Maybe they've lost their job. Who knows? But all of this adds up to make them extremely sad, and they will try to bring the sadness around you. You have the reckless drunk, like this particular, I shouldn't even say gentleman, because there were a couple of them that were involved yesterday at Smiths Point Beach. Oh God, the reckless drunk. The guy who has a few tequila shots and decides to act and pretend like he is Superman, Crisis Angels, or Tony Hawk, all in one. Chances are he'll be sliding down the banisters doing ridiculous, stupid amounts of booze in the kitchen or at the campsite. Here's a tip for dealing with them. Take his toys away. Of course, we couldn't do that because the alcohol wasn't our alcohol to take. If he's planning to, if whoever might be in your house that's doing this, if they're planning on skating down this staircase at your house because they are reckless drunk, take the skateboard away. Then you have the drunk that analyzes each and everything. You know this kind of drunk, 3 hours into the party, while most people are trying to successfully or unsuccessfully to attract someone of the preferred gender, the drunk that has to analyze everything will be found discussing the big topics: life, death, politics, religion. Turns out that when they get a little bit of liquor in their system, they become Jean-Paul Sartre with a beanie hat. A drunk that analyzes everything will throw him or her back in a loop with a backup question that will give them enough pause for thought to make your escape and leave them in context. Just throw a question at them that will make them think. Ask them who the 42nd president was. When they hesitate to think about it, because they are probably under the influence, make your escape. You have the DJ drunk, one of the worst drunks. There's not enough money in the world to make any of us dance to a song we truly hate, but give us a heavy dose of alcohol and a lowering of personal taste and social inhibition, and you'll have a bunch of people leering and doing sexy, and I know it. The person in charge for inducing these wannabe dancing heroes is the DJ drunk. The kind who commandeers the spot fee playlist all evening and lines up every kind of desperate song. There's nothing wrong with getting your groove into some alt indie tunes or some big and bold pop, but it's so jarring when they switch from one to the other and they start singing out loud. Then you have your sleazy drunk. Say hello to the sleazy drunk, otherwise known as the kind of guy or girl who becomes very sleazy and inappropriate when they're drunk. When you have a lady or a man or even possibly teenagers, the sleazy drunk can be overwhelming because they will talk, say, or do sleazy things. And then you have your sober drunk. Last but most certainly not least is the sober drunk. While the sober drunk might seem to be a bit of a contradiction in words, they're certainly their own special kind of drunk. The kind that comes from hours of drinking and then they come back semi-sober and they start drinking again. The sober drunk will realize that they only actually like any of their friends and will tell them so to a devastating effect, or reveal that they're mischievous about everyone at the party or the gathering. They will analyze, they will judge, they will make rude comments. This is the sober drunk. Folks, a vacation like ours that started yesterday could probably have put my wife and I in a sad and angry mood, being that this was our vacation from the 21st till the 28th. It was supposed to be a week at this campsite. It was not meant to be. And everything does happen for a reason. That I will tell you, folks. And I do believe in karma, because these folks that ruined or thought they ruined our vacation, in fact, have given my wife and I an opportunity to do things that we probably wouldn't have done while we were camping. To spend time with our grandchildren, other than just at the campsite, but maybe to go to places like Adventureland, Dorney Park, any of those places. So to the folks, if you're watching me, that thought that you have ruined my vacation and my wife's vacation by being the drunks / drug addicted people that you were, the inconsiderate people that you were, and the bullying that you tried to do to my wife and I, it didn't work. If anything, I thank you, because it made me realize, and it gave me the idea, and I was telling this to the 2 park rangers, to do this show, because I never addressed about what types of drunks that are out there and how to deal and avoid them. To the 2 park rangers, and I gave you both my card for my YouTube channel. If you're watching me, I thank you for your patience. I thank you for the numerous trips that you made back and forth to the campsites to mediate between us. Although I felt the mediation was needed more on that end, because my wife and I at this point were so exhausted from the fiasco that we witnessed that we just wanted to leave. But I thank you truly for doing not only your job, but over and beyond. And to Smith's Point Beach, I want to thank you, because I do know of your refund policy and your credit policy, and you went over and beyond to make the phone calls to assure us credit on both sites. And I want to thank you for that. Overall, this has been a learning experience, not only for me, but hopefully for you watching my audience, because it teaches and taught me of all the different drunks that are out there and how to deal with them. A few years ago, when I was one of them, I would have challenged this person. I might have even had an altercation with him. But the sober life, the life in recovery, and the fact of just common decency has taught me to be the better person and walk away. Vacation continues. Today is our 2nd day of vacation, and no matter what, the vacation continues, and no matter what, it was a learning experience, and I thank each and every party involved. And I hope you watching me have learned something about how, when you run into these people, and when I use these, I don't label, I mean drunk people or drug addicted people, when you run into them and they want to challenge you and they want to bully you around, how it's better to just back up. In some cases, call the park rangers or security, although I did not do that. The security guard happened to come by and notice something on their site. But you are the better person by being the sober person. You are the better person by making that decision that you have had enough of drug and alcohol. You are the better person of walking away. You are not less of a human, and you certainly are not showing any weakness by walking away. If anything, I hope to God that these 3 families and their wives say, well, these 2 people that were down here graciously walked away and didn't start anything. And that's the way I want to lead my life. I want to show other people that, and you know, the world needs to go by this analogy, is that we can all live in harmony. I hope to God that these folks down there enjoy the rest of their vacation, but I really hope that they find some comfort in knowing that they ran into sober people who were not going to step or go into the levels that they were, and maybe the comfort will be saying, wow, maybe do we really need drugs and alcohol to live the life that we're leading? Can we maybe really change? Folks, I hope to God that each and every one in my audience out there, any one of you guys, can start thinking positive, because positive things will happen. Negative things would have been like what happened to my wife and I yesterday, and if I would have kept in that negativity bubble, negative results would have happened. But because I looked at the positive side of this whole thing, positive results have happened. Teach your children to say no to drugs and alcohol. Teach your children from 0 to 18 to say no to drugs and alcohol, so they don't become like people like that feel that they can go around life just bullying people around, pushing them around. And certainly these people obviously have an addiction problem. To prevent that from happening, I'm not saying it's guaranteed if you teach your children to say no to drugs and alcohol that they'll never go out there and abuse it. What I am saying is that you have done your job. Make today the first day of your new life. Today, admit you have a problem with drugs and alcohol, and your life will start all over for the better. You'll see numerous amount of results. You'll see better skin color. You'll feel better. You'll see better financial situations. You'll have better relationships. You'll have better spiritual relationship with your higher power. Folks, I hope each and every one out there got something out of this video, as I got from the lesson I have learned yesterday, which is to walk away from people that are drunk. And because let's say if I would have still set up my tent, folks, think about this. I would have still set up all my camping things, the canopies, the tents. And every time my wife and I and the grandchildren would walk away to maybe walk down to the beach, we don't know what we would have come back to. Possibly rips in the tent, possibly things taken, possibly a fire set at the tent, like my wife overheard that somebody said, well, gee, what if that happens? My point is, we thought positive, how we can change this vacation from what the situation at hand was to what we are going to do now. And we are going to get positive results from that. That's my point. I hope to God that each and every one of you folks out in my audience has the best day of your life. But I really hope and I really pray that each and every one in my audience out there has a sober rest of your life. And may God bless you.